Over millennia, many marvelous mouths have evolved for biting, chewing, crushing, slurping, swallowing, and licking lips after all kinds of delicious meals, or what I assume are delicious meals to them. If you were a leatherback sea turtle, for example, your mouth would be lined with these cartilaginous spikes so you could chomp down on stinging jellyfish. If you were a woodpecker, the back of your tongue would be wrapped around your brain to help stabilize your skull, while the front of your tongue fished out insects from tree bark. And if you were a blue whale, well, you'd basically just have a giant toothbrush for a mouth, combing the water for krill. But when it comes to biting, crushing, and sheer prehistoric power, one particular animal comes to mind: the crocodile. Evolutionarily speaking, the crocodilian group is hundreds of millions of years old and includes crocodiles, alligators, caimans, and gharials. I mean, just look at this thing. Not only can these living dinosaurs hold their breath for hours, sleep with one eye open, and cry literal crocodile tears, but they also have one of the strongest bites ever measured, clocking in at over 16,000 newtons, which we all know is a force that would give a mass of 1 kilogram an acceleration of 1 meter per second, or 100,000 dynes. Newton. Dyne. In other words, crocodilians bite down with a strength roughly 17 times stronger than a human gnawing at a tough steak. And while it may be no surprise that they make us look about as effective as a dull pair of tweezers, even hyenas can only chomp down at about 1/4 of that. And they can crush a giraffe's femur. And it makes sense, because crocs have been known to eat pretty much anything. Not only fish, frogs, crabs, insects, but also birds, turtles, pigs, buffalo, monkeys, porcupines, sharks, snakes, zebras, and even other crocodiles. And if you're wondering how all that's possible, well, let's take a look at the crocodilian jaw. We're now discovering that their mouths are literally double jointed. In addition to the primary jaw joint at the rear of the skull, which opens and closes their mouths, they have a second jaw joint called the pterygomandibular. This joint works like a brace, sort of like your knee, helping to distribute force and preventing the jaw from twisting or dislocating as it chomps. A bunch of their bite force comes from a muscle called the adductor mandibular posterior near the second joint. We mammals lost it a while back, but it's the same one T-Rex used to chow down on its prey. So just steer clear of that mouth, okay? But luckily for the field biologists and wildlife veterinarians like myself, the muscles a croc would use to open that jaw are more for stability than strength, meaning it's quite tough for them to open their mouths if restricted. In fact, when we need to study, treat, or transport them, we often hold their jaws together with rubber bands or even electrical tape. Please don't try this at home. Filling these impressive jaws are 60-some hollow teeth, which are constantly being replaced by new teeth underneath. A single croc can cycle through thousands of teeth in their lifetime, making them polyphyodont, just like sharks. But despite all of these teeth, crocs don't actually chew their food. They don't even use their tongue because it's fixed in place. Instead, when dinner can't be eaten in one bite, crocs latch on and perform the death roll, which looks a little something like this. With moves like this, some croc species can eat up to half of their body weight in just one meal. Just for reference, that would be the equivalent of me eating 10 Henrys in one sitting, without chewing. Despite their leathery and tough exterior, these incredible creatures are hypersensitive to their environment, even with that ferocious mouth. Unlike alligators, crocodiles can move between fresh and salt water easily thanks to special glands in their mouth, which is a pretty rare animal superpower. They can also sense tiny changes in pressure and vibrations around them with these indents on their jaw, helping to locate prey in dark or murky water. And they're surprisingly family-oriented. When the time comes to move those hatchlings from the safety of their nest, crocodilian moms use those ferocious mouths to carry them tenderly to the water, careful not to crush them. It's been said that their snouts are more sensitive than a human fingertip. Crocodilians have a vicious reputation, but they aren't immune to human impact. Remember that gharial I showed you? At one point it was estimated there were only 200 breeding adults left in the world. Today, thanks to intensified research and conservation efforts, there are over 2,000 living in central India's Chambal River. and I've personally worked with the world's most endangered crocodilian, the Philippine crocodile. This individual has reached a size where she has a much better chance of surviving in the wild, and so we're going to be releasing her tomorrow, and ideally, she's going to find a boyfriend, and they're going to make babies, and they're going to help the populations of these crocodiles. That's why organizations like the Mabuhay Foundation and the Crocodile Research Coalition remind us that this success story is far from over.
You cannot just protect the crocodiles, just protect a species. So that's great. We have now stabilized the crocodile population, but its prey population has depleted. Its habitat has been lost. Our mission is to promote crocodile conservation as well as conservation of their habitat throughout Central America and the Caribbean through research, education, and community involvement.
Thanks for watching Tusk to Tales. For more awesome animal adaptations, check out the rest of the series. I'm Evan Anton, and I'll see you next time on Seeker.